Hello, this is Alchemisted, and this is not Rise of the Red Shirt. This is, however, very irritating. What the fuck? Is that you? Who the hell is, like, running an Aegis set? Or, it's gotta be you. It's gotta be you. It's you. That is the most irritating shit ever. Like, ever. Please, just get yeah. I don't like that. It was grating on me before. Like, the friggin' Aegis sound. That's why I don't like hanging around sector space around planets. In fact, let's go ahead and, like, get away from you. Yeah, let's get away from you so I don't have to listen to your constant droning bullshit engines. Thank you. I might be a bit irritable. I could be irritable. Possibly. I've never been irritable before. This is not Rise of the Red Shirt. Rise of the Red Shirt is coming. Well, sort of. You'll see. It's coming soon. I'm just doing a little bit of I suppose pre-production, you could call it, on Rise of the Red Shirt, or what shall be returning. I should call it. I'm not gonna like go out and say it yet. I'm not gonna go out and say it. There will be a Star Trek Online show. There will be a continuation of what Rise of the Red Shirt was, but it will be under a new banner. It'll be cool. Just wait. Don't worry. Don't worry. It's gonna be fine. But I'm recording a little bit of stuff for the new intro, and I decided if I was going to grab something from this mission anyways, I might as well cover it. So, this is Time and Tide. I'm going to get this out of the way. This will become increasingly apparent as we continue, but I'm just going to go ahead and go out and say this. I do not like the Temporal Cold War. Temporal Cold War was a mistake. That was a grievous mistake. I think if you were going to choose a bold new direction for your game, the show that killed the franchise should not have been it. I think if Gecko's going to go out and basically, like, say he's not interested in making anything new and he's banking entirely on nostalgia, then it is a grave miscalculation to bank on the nostalgia people have for the show that killed the franchise. This all seems like no-brainer stuff, and yet somehow they've managed to do this. I do care, but I just can't understand what the thought process was behind picking the Temporal Cold War. I mean, you have to understand what I mean by the show that was so bad that it killed the franchise. Like go to SF Debris. Go watch Code of Honor. You know, go watch not Angel One, although that one's offensive too. I can't remember what the name of the episode was. It was like the first time in ever. Paradise or something? Justice. There we go. There we go. That's the name of the episode. A one-word name that I completely forgot. Wow. But yeah, look at Code of Honor. Look at his reviews of Code of Honor and Justice, and then look at his review of A Night in Sickbay for Enterprise. The first two were for TNG. The latter one was from Enterprise. And, like, look at that. Look at Dear Doctor for Enterprise after you do that. And you're going to understand really quick what I mean by the show so bad it killed the franchise. You've got, like, incredibly incredible racism. And, ridiculous, terrible writing. Incredibly obvious racism. You know, and somehow that show continued on for 6 more seasons. And then you have Star Trek Enterprise, which was so bad it killed the franchise. Now, admittedly, some of this might be part of the times that these shows came in. Things were a bit less PC back then, I guess. But still, you gotta look at it, and, like, this... The storyline, so ill-conceived that they couldn't even name the villain. The villain's name was literally derived from sarcasm. Again, from SF Debris. he called them, when he used to do text reviews, he called the guy sarcastically future guy, because that's all we know about him is he can see the future. That's it. That's it. That's all we know about the guy. And so we called him Future Guy. And then they started using that name in their press releases. So they allowed the major villain for the series myth arc to be described by sarcasm for the show's entire run, up to the finale of the show. And So they had no idea. They clearly had no idea where this was going. And you only ever saw the Temporal Cold War arc referenced in either a season ender or some sweep cliffhanger where Daniels would show up to say something cryptic and then fuck off. That's it. That's all you would ever see. And so the first thing that happened when Berman and Braga left and Manny Koto came on board as the show's as essentially the showrunner, was the first thing he did was he took the Temporal Cold War and essentially put a bullet in its head. He just took it out back and executed it, because it was never good. It never went anywhere. It failed to grab ratings. The show was failing up until they changed the entire direction of the show in season 3. The Temporal Cold War was a flop. It is literally, genuinely, without question, demonstrably one of the worst planned, worst executed, and most pointless storylines ever written for Star Trek. And that is their bold new direction. What are you thinking? You had a galaxy reeling in the aftermath of a war that forced everybody to unite. You had thousands of Iconian gateways opened, or Solanae rather, gateways open across the galaxy, allowing travel to the far reaches of our galaxy to places we've never dreamed we'd be able to visit. There is open trade between the Delta and the Alpha quadrants. Delta quadrant artifacts and goods are being openly traded back and forth. It's not across the galaxy anymore. It's just like a warp flight away to a gate, and you're there. You had this amazing change to a setting that fundamentally alters it forever. You have all these gates open. You have an unparalleled refugee crisis already, with all of the worlds that got sacked by the Iconians. These people need places to go. They need resources to survive. They need ships and fleets to move them there. You have a massive reconstruction already in progress. In fact, you were already starting this as an in-game event. A massive reconstruction following the war. You did not need the Nakul for this. The Nakul are completely superfluous. You have done nothing with the Temporal Cold War that you could not have done without it. Easily. And again, setting is completely altered forever. A climate of galactic unity follows the end of the Iconian War. And you have thousands of these gateways capable of taking you to places that nobody who has ever written Star Trek has ever dreamed of what might be beyond there. You literally have more stories to possibly tell than you could ever tell if this game went on for 10 years, for 20 years. The sky was literally the limit. There are infinite stories behind there. Behind those gates, you could do whatever you want. This is the reason why I've been gone for so long. This game really burned me out when it did this. You have to understand, I've been playing this game for 5 years. I've been playing this game since it came out. I was in open beta. And that's been 5 years of 2 steps forward, one step forward, 2 steps back half the time. With Cryptic's some of the decisions was frankly like when look incomprehensible to the players. And I've been watching a State of the Game episode 1. I'll put a link in the description of what I've been watching. And it feels like I'm not the only one who is just mystified at the decision making. And I can't understand how you could do that. And I was so put off that they did this, that they were going this direction, that we were going to do the temporal Cold War, and I called it. Okay? I called this. Remember that. Way back in Doomsday Device, go review the footage. I called that they were going to do this. And even then I was like, please don't do Temporal Cold War. Please don't do this shit. We're doing the Temporal Cold War. But you took all that potential and everything good that you had set up at the end of that war and just brushed it aside. Went, no, we're going to do this. Strange new worlds. New civilizations. Boldly going where no one has gone before. Are things that this franchise may have mentioned from the outset. That's what Star Trek's about. That's part of its DNA. You don't want to take that risk. That's great. Okay. But then you need to ask yourself why you're doing it. Are you really wanting to make Star Trek, or do you just want to make a museum? What is Star Trek? Is Star Trek a living franchise that can evolve and change and grow? Or is it a dead franchise that belongs in a museum? And nothing new is going to come out of it, and you're just going to look at what it was, and it will never be more than that. But at some point, the question needs to be asked. And when you are banking on people's nostalgia for the show that was so demonstrably bad that it killed the franchise, because all those people whose nostalgia you're banking on stopped watching it because it was so bad. When you're banking on nostalgia for that, as opposed to creating anything new, the question needs to be asked. I'm done. Rant is over. The rant is over. The rant is over. We're going to try and have a good time now. But I needed to get that out of the way. I needed to get it out of the way, or it was going to be all that I was going to talk about throughout this entire mission. So we're good. We're good. Okay. I'm a little stuffy, though. Stuff in the air. So this is Time and Tide, and I already accepted the mission because I'm an idiot. So let me find in progress. Alright. We've been contacted by the Federation of the 29th Century. Their Temporal Integrity Commission is charged with protecting the timeline from factions who might want to change history. Considering our recent experiences, we feel the need to better understand the rules of time travel. However, it is important we don't know too much about the future. So we have decided to designate one representative to learn what we need to know. Given your record, you were the logical choice. You are to rendezvous with the USS Pastic. Her captain will give you a more thorough briefing upon arrival. And there's a lot of this. Frankly, I don't really care about most of this. If you're into like Polaron or like Chronoton or like Polychronoton or like Chronopolaron or whatever, these might be good. They are not good for me. The only two things that I'm interested in here are the Plasma Distribution Manifold, which is vendor trash if I've ever seen it, or the Time and Tide Admiralty Bundle, which is what I'll be taking here. If you get the current lockbox, I will find you. I will enter your home. And I will put pink dye in your shampoo. And so you're going to be going with pink hair. And if you're into pink, don't think... If you're into pink, if you like pink, then don't think that that's going to be good for you. Because I'll know. And I'll have another color. I'll have a worse color for you. If you're into pink. Don't think that you're getting off easy because you like pink. But the rest of you, especially those of you who don't like pink, you're going to be rocking the pink if you take that. I'm going to give you pink hair. It's going to be a sparkly one, too. So, you be on notice. Unless you want to sparkle. I don't know what the hell I'm saying. Anyways. So we're going to go here. And it hasn't made it. This is still a thing. We're still not making, like, missions that we've just taken primary. So, you may notice... Oh, yes. Let's go on the far side of the star. There we go. Little far. I do like the sector space. The new sector space is very nice. I've probably said as much before. This way? There we go. It's a very nice visual. Very, very nice! So yeah, unlike that other video, I am not afraid to say I have been playing the Old Republic for a while. So, they'll mention the Old Republic constantly in that video that I'm going to link down below, and yeah, it's gonna... It gets kind of silly at some point. Like, we all know what you're talking about, just say it. But, it's fine. I've been playing that game for a while. I wanted to get to the Knights of the Fallen Empire stuff. And, go to New Khitomer. A little interface spoiler there. Might want to fix that. Although it's in a mission objective, too. Why doesn't it just say go to Kiana system? You know, instead of go to New Khitomer. So, expect me... But anyways, I've been playing that game where the movement speed... The default movement speed is much faster. Combat is much faster paced in that game. And, yeah. I've been playing as a Jedi Consular, which is quite different in playstyle from a Starfleet officer, as one would assume. So, I am probably going to be pretty shit at this mission. I remember being pretty shit at it the first time, too. So, be gentle. Or don't, if you feel I'd have it coming after my rant. Whichever. So, let's begin time and tide. And, of course, we're bringing a whole away team because we're just bringing one person. We've only been authorized to bring one person, so of course we're bringing 5 because something always goes wrong. So, 8, I think... 8 is the first officer now, so I'm wondering if I should leave her on the ship. Leave her in command of the ship, because this is a formal function. Yeah, we're going to roll with it. We're going to roll with... see. I'm pretty sure it's fucked up Ike's powers. And we're going to bring Soren. So, let's see. Who are we going to bring? We're going to bring 3rd. Yeah, we're going to bring 3rd with us. And we're going to bring... Not Ike, because Ike is the chief engineer now. So we're going to bring Revan. Yes. Yes, bring Revan. Okie dokie.
Please
I get what you did there, pass stack. Ha 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 ha. I get what you did there. It was shit. This is a nice interior. Too bad it's impossible to get. Well, not impossible, but you will never see it. And the camera never showed us what was back here, so we couldn't really, like, put anything back here because we don't know. So, is there a ready room? Is there a ready room? Nobody knows if there is a ready room because... Is there a ready room back there? Let's find out. It looks like there's a wall. Looks like there's a big nothing there, honestly. This map is not very good. Like, why are there black parts to the map, like, in the middle of the bridge? Like, I'm according to this map, I'm literally standing in the void right now. And this doesn't look very good either. Like, what's going on down here? This looks... was it like this on the show, or it just sort of, like, rolled over the side? It might have been, but it doesn't really look very good. So this is either where they monitor the time stream, or they're working on like Mario Maker. Who knows? I know it's called T-Cars now. It's called T-Cars because time. Because everything, they're Time Lords now, and everything has to have like the time like word in it. I do like this little window here. Although it's kind of worthless as a view screen. Although the view screen is a view screen, so I imagine you could use that. I'm not sure what this window is for. Like, is it just sort of like Atmos? Like, is it really sort of like... Just sort of like... Is this a captain's chair, by any chance? Is this like where the captain sits, maybe? And he's got like this window and like maybe a cup of coffee? Yeah, I could see that. There's like a captain's desk on the bridge. And he just sort of like sits here. Like it stares out into the void. Like big cup of Ractigino, maybe. That might actually be pretty sweet, actually, having like your own like computer console here. I do like the animations, like the animated L-cars. It's very fluid looking. It's very nice. Although it does make me wonder what the hell Dax and Bashir were talking about like two-dimensional controls, what they were complaining about. That was in a sort of alternate future Deep Space Nine episode where like Cisco like died but didn't die. He was like trapped in a void or something, and they like brought the Defiant out of mothballs to rescue him, wearing like the All Good Things uniforms and such. And they were like, two-dimensional controls, man. How did we ever get along with this shit? So apparently they got along fine because they're still using it in the 29th century. Although. I have a theory about that. It's the only way I can see the Enterprise J's design being brilliant. And I know it's completely unintentional. They totally weren't thinking about this. But like to go on a tangent for a moment, if you let me, like think about what the Universe class looks like. That big, sort of delicate, gigantic thing with like the really insubstantial warp nacelle supports. This big, giant, fancy thing that's even like chromed out. It's chrome. It's a giant chrome starship with like 10,000 people on it. And look at the little toothpick warp pylons because they can. Essentially, we're so advanced. The whole thing to me screams hubris. Like, we can build this. Like, look at us. We're the Federation. We can build this. You know? Don't you want to be part of us? Don't you want to join us? You know? The whole thing screams hubris. But then you go from, like, the Enterprise J, and in that same timeline, you see Dauntless-class ships and Prometheus-class ships, which are much more stocky, flying brick-type ships. Flying defense around the Enterprise in the brief glimpse of the Enterprise J that we get. And after that, the 26th century, I think it was, in the 29th century, they're flying around in stuff like the Relativity. And the Relativity itself was an old design. It was mentioned, I think, as being an older ship. And it's literally a flying brick. it's smaller than the Enterprise J. It's smaller, it's slimmer to make it harder to hit in profile. And when you compare the later Starfleet ships to the Enterprise J, what that tells me is somewhere between the Enterprise J and the Relativity, Starfleet and the Federation got a big lesson in humility by somebody. Like, somebody saw the Enterprise J and, like, laughed at it and ripped its damn nacelles off, essentially. Like, you think, like, you had the technology to make it stable with, like, the dainty little pylons, but if you had that technology, you'd have the technology to make it even more safe for the 10,000 people that are on the ship and make that support more substantial. But you opted for style. You opted for hubris. You wanted everybody to see your cool-looking starship instead of see an advanced starship built by the Federation. You wanted to look cool. You wanted to look regal with your chromed-up starships. So we're just going to rip your damn nacelles off. That's what the Relativity design says to me. Is that sometime between the Universe class and the Wells class, Starfleet got taught some painful lessons by somebody, and got sort of like shaken out of their own complacency. Not unlike what Picard described Q as doing in Q Who. And that's why I think the Universe class is totally a terrible design, but could potentially be brilliant. You know, if you think of, like, Starfleet, just inflated egos while building it. Because having a massive ego is something Starfleet has always been accused of. So, yeah, there it is. I think it could... I'm not sure what this is supposed to be. Is this like a screensaver? That's how I think the Wells class design could be secretly brilliant. Or the Universe class design, rather, could be secretly, and again, unintentionally brilliant. But I know it won't go that way. It totally should, though. It totally should end up that way. Captain Walker, Time Ranger.
It's a pleasure to see you again. I'm glad you were selected as your time's representative.
I wonder if he was on Time Force.
Of course, I already knew you were going to be chosen.
Oh, kiss my ass.
Change my appreciation.
I can see the future.
Your recent experiences with time travel have begun a new phase of development, a perilous one at that. Understanding the rules of time travel is of vital importance.
The rules of time travel, as far as I know, are don't. And if you do, leave shit alone. That seems to be all that's necessary, really. Yeah, this stuff is insufferable. Like, this stuff needs to stop. Of course, I already knew you were going to be chosen. Well, you didn't have to say that, jackass. Bulma and Vegeta have a kid. Gohan's the strongest in the universe, but he doesn't do crap. I like listening to this dialogue, all I can think of is Team 4-Star. So you're going to bear with me, because you're going to see a lot of references to that. A lot of references to Kanasa and like, going on, because that stuff like that is ridiculous. You see, you just tried to straighten your jacket, but I have a jacket. You do not. Who's futuristic now? Who's futuristic now in your weird-ass sweater? Your weird sweater uniform that you're wearing. Don't try and defend yourself. Look at you. In your weird TV budget sweater jumpsuit. I've got, like, shiny stuff. Look at you. Look at you in your blue jumpsuit. And your, like, sideburns. Captain Sideburns Walker. I already know what the dangers of time travel are, but I must ask. Tell me about the Temporal Prime Directive. I mean, I already know about it, but... I already know what you're going to say, but do go on.
Starfleet personnel are strictly forbidden from directly interfering with historical events, and are required to maintain the timeline when possible. We're also restricted from revealing too much about the future. These principles have served Starfleet well. Now that the time travel genie is out of the bottle, it's hard to get it back in. The The tech will spread through the galaxy, and species after species will learn the secrets of time.
And then this storyline will be dropped like a bad habit and never mentioned again once it's done for something new. Let's see, what are the dangers of time travel?
Time travel can be a very seductive tool. Many would use it benevolently, save lives, worlds, entire civilizations. Many more, however, would use it for conquest, vengeance, even genocide. Unsupervised tampering with the timeline can be disastrous. Good intentions or not. Prior to the Accords, reckless time travel led to a great war. It nearly undid existence itself. In its aftermath, a coalition was formed to stabilize the timeline and enforce its protection.
Coalition?
Your alliance, the Federation, the Klingon Empire, and the Romulan Republic formed the historical basis of this coalition. It's vital that the alliance holds together. Timelines where the alliance fails, let's just say it wasn't pretty. In other branches, the coalition grows beyond the alliance and eventually forms the Galactic Union. The Union proposes a treaty to protect the timeline and restrict the use of time travel. We call this treaty the Temporal Accords.
Okay, so in other branches of the time, so we're dealing with parallel universes now, essentially is what he's saying. And like, the parallel universes are talking to each other and, like, proposing, like, rules. Because these branches were created by changes, by, like, going right instead of went left. Like, anytime there's a 50-50 chance of doing something, or something along those lines, I think is what Data said. Anything that can happen will happen in another quantum reality. I think that was the line. So yeah, those branches are all still dependent on things happening the way they did to lead up to those branching points. So of course those branches are going to want to talk to each other once they have the ability to do so, and make sure that those branching points are not messed with, I think is what he's getting at. So yeah, you're not just this isn't just a treaty between multiple timelines. This is a treaty between multiple iterations of reality, essentially. Is what I'm getting from that.
It might be the most important event in known history. I would like to take you to witness the signing of the Accords, so you can see for yourself what the work of the Alliance will lead to.
I can see the future?
It is to future civilizations. Of course, you must promise to be circumspect in your reports and conversations with others when you return. We don't want to create any disruptions or paradoxes.
Captain's log. I can see the future. I went to see the future. Understood. I look forward to witnessing this event. I don't.
Are you ready to visit the future?
Take me to the future. Get used to that. Get used to it. With the Iconian War behind them. Why time? So we've only authorized 1, but we're sending 5 because fuck the police, I guess. Oh yeah. Fuck the police. That means you, Walker. So, the last time I played this mission, Walker was standing within lawsuit distance of Soren. Let's see if that happens again.
Here we are. Since you're from the past, I'll be your chaperone during the event, hopefully protecting you from any temporal incidents. Purely procedural, of course. You've already demonstrated your ability to remain silent about things you aren't supposed to know.
I think he's talking about Temporal Ambassador, but I'm not sure. Yes! Of the many things I wish I did not have to see, a Talaxian in a skimpy dress was one of them. Thank you, Star Trek Online. See you in my nightmares! Okay, Walker looks like he's keeping his distance from Soren now. He may have learned after Soren fucking buried a knife in his head or something. I don't know. I didn't know. It probably happened in another timeline. Anything that can happen will happen. So if you're standing that close to a former Tal Shiar, staring at her cleavage, I'm pretty sure at some point this will end poorly for you. Very poorly. Quite poorly.
Welcome, gentlemen,
Indeed.
to the signing of the Temple Accords. Your biosigns aren't listed on our register today. I'll need to... Wait, I know you.
Oh, here we go.
I wrote a paper about you in classical history class.
Did you?
I must say, you look much younger than your holo images. Wait, what year did you come from?
A year after I graduated, and I'm an admiral. What have you done with your life?
Oh, that explains why you look so young. Well, you sure have an eventful future ahead of you. Forget I said that. I'm not supposed to say things like that. To be honest, I'm still getting used to the new temporal regulations. They can be a little confusing. Anyway, the TIC crews are scrubbing the hall for anything that might cause a paradox if visitors from the past, like yourself, encounter them. It will be just a few moments.
Very, very well.
Chat with some of our other guests here in the lobby. I believe they have all been cleared for trans-temporal interactions. I'm sure you'll have plenty to talk about.
We won't have plenty to talk about. We will talk to them, and then... no. So you'd think you'd have something to talk about to Philip Cray.
Greetings, friend.
Who-
How may I help you?
Why are you here?
Same reason as you, I'll imagine. To witness the signing of the Temporal Accords. Usually, temporal agents watch holo recordings of the event. But the three of us were given special dispensation to come and view the Accords personally. Perks for graduating at the top of the class, I suppose.
Philip Cray graduated from the top of his class at the tender age of 40. That's all for now. So yeah, basically the idea is that this is like a previous version of Philip Cray that you haven't met yet. There's no special dialogue for Delta recruits in there, which I think is an oversight, to say the least, if you're meeting like an earlier version of the other major character from the Delta recruit time thingy. So, yeah. I think that's a huge oversight. That's kind of the problem of making a separate campaign for people to play for, is eventually you got to write dialogue for those people. And you can only add to it, because you can't like unmake that campaign, although they've unmade plenty in this game already. Let's see. Let's talk to the Space Nazi.
The Nakul are here to protest the signing of the unlawful biased accords.
Why?
The Tholians ravaged our homeworld thanks to the Federation's ineptitude. In one dark moment, my people were scattered throughout the stars. All we were, our history, our way of life, was nearly lost. And when we needed the Federation the most, we were denied. Terrorists, they called us. Criminals, the dregs of the galaxy. These words, these deeds will never be forgotten or forgiven.
I'm not sure what the tragedy of the past has to do with today's events, except for, preventing that from happening to anybody else. Like, I know I was there, so I really wouldn't like that to happen to somebody else, so...
Today, the Federation and their lackeys have come to tell the galaxy which timeline is best and what they'll do to keep it that way. But who are they to dictate such terms? To tell us that their history is more important than ours?
So, you would change the past despite the risks you could undo your own existence.
My existence? My existence has been nothing but hardship and pain. The life of
Fuck. God damn.
I'd gladly sacrifice it to restore my homeworld and prevent the mass exodus of my people. Don't tell me you wouldn't do the same were our places reversed.
I'd resist temptation.
Attention all guests. The main hall is now...
He said, utterly full of shit. Be nice if there was another option that wasn't completely full of shit that you could reply to that question with, but yeah. You're basically locked into being a hypocrite in that conversation almost. Because you are a hypocrite. You're basically a hypocrite. Like, you just did the very thing she's talking about. I do like that we're on like a giant ring around the planet. That is a... Is that... Hang on. Is that animating at all, or is this just literally just like a JPEG dome? Yeah, it's just a JPEG. It's a big-ass JPEG. Because there's no parallax going on whatsoever, so... Still very nice. I like that. And he ran away from the door. Hello.
Jolan True, you are from the past, from before the time the Romulans joined the Federation, I wager. How strange all of this must be for you. The entire galaxy unites in preserving the timeline. This is truly a momentous day for all.
Indeed it is.
I am honored by the Founders, and pleased to observe this most historic event. Although the Dominion was not greatly affected by the development of time travel, we have an interest in safeguarding the time stream.
That's good to hear. The fairy.
Well, the Accords promise to safeguard the time stream for us all. I can't help but ponder the opportunities for temporal abuse that will remain after they are signed. I fear great imbalance could occur, despite the very good intentions of all the signatories involved.
Force the Accords properly, and that probably won't happen. Hello, Tholian.
The Tholian Assembly has decided to support the Accords. We are concerned that a rogue individual or species could disrupt our development. The Accords do not go far enough. We want to end all time travel for any reason. We will continue to lobby for change aggressively. Should the Union fail to preserve the timeline, the Assembly will succeed by any means necessary. That is all.
I could say I'm probably going to say half sarcastically that that's Tholian diplomacy at its finest, which really it is. Yeah, that actually is like Tholian diplomacy at its finest. That's the first Tholian diplomat I have seen in this game. So by default, that is the finest Tholian diplomacy I have had an occasion to see here. So yeah. So I like that the Tholians are using a vocoder, because I always assumed like Tholian speech is just something that the Universal Translator cannot cope with. Less so for the Breen. I hate what they've done to the Breen. Agreed. I like your approach. So, I hate that they turned them into frackin' Cylons. I like the Breen. The whole point of like the Breen vocoder, or at least in the books, is to like hide their identity. Like everything about the Breen, that secrecy is their hat essentially. And yeah, I don't like the fact that they turned them into they turned the Breen into frackin' Cylons. I prefer like the binary squawks. And now we are going to talk to... Not Waspinator. No, he doesn't sound like Waspinator. He sounds like Cobra Commander. Cobra Commander is apparently a Zindi. Cobra Commander is here to observe the temporal accords.
The Zindi are no stranger to temporal affairs. The tragic conflict with Earth in the 22nd century and our manipulation by the Sphere Builders
fear.
Share the fall.
The fear.
Accords with the hope that they will prevent such tragedies from this day forth.
Don't bother me, I'm snacking. Oh, worthy goal. The fear! 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 Yeah, he sounds more like the Fear from Metal Gear Solid 3. I don't know why the Fear is here witnessing the friggin' signing of a treaty, but I'm watching you, buddy. You dart the first dart you throw at somebody, I swear, you dart somebody, I'm gonna throw out some fucking mushrooms that are gonna fuck you up when you eat them. So, behave! This Cardassian has like a hawk going on. He's got like a David Tennant sort of like hair hawk going on. Don't think I've seen that in a Cardassian ever.
I must say, I am privileged to witness this historic event.
I say!
It is a singular honor. I'm humbled, as I'm sure you are as well.
I'm sure it will be interesting. I say! Fear! Oh, another space Nazi.
The Nakul are not here to sign these accords. We have already been victims of time-traveling aliens. But somehow this incursion into the timeline has been overlooked. Perhaps because of its importance to the founding of the Galactic Union. We proposed an amendment to restore our home world in the timeline, but it was rejected. Therefore we are here, with all eyes of the galaxy upon us, to point out the hypocrisy and unlawfulness of these accords.
Okay. I suspect your protest will fall on deaf ears today. Fear! The fear. The fear. Fear! Let's see. Look.
Greetings. Pardon me for saying so, but you look very familiar. Have we met before? Wait, I remember you from my history studies. You saved our home world. There's a statue in your honor in the capital city on Lucari Prime. Oh, wait. That's already happened for you, right?
Not the statue.
Oh, good. Woo! And just my luck to cause a paradox here, today. Can you imagine?
See. That would be a little awkward. Okay, let's see. Orion.
I am reminded of a quote from ancient Earth.
Why?
And when Alexander saw the breadth of his domain, he wept, for there were no more worlds to conquer.
Interesting perspective. Also highlights one of the problems with basing your game's storyline on time travel. When you have the entire rest of the galaxy left to explore. There's actually a lot left to go through in this game. But we're not going to get to it because we're too busy with this shit!
These accords are going to provide quite the opportunity for historical studies of economic matters. I hear the Grand Nagus is going to formally announce several new temporal rules of acquisition soon. I hope at least one of them covers going back in time to beat someone to a deal.
They're all various iterations of the phrase, "don't do it." Okay, hopefully in a way that prevents such activities. Hello, Federation Ambassador. Federation Ambassador. wonder if the cape is like... I wonder if, like, all ambassadors in the 27th century, 28th century, in the future, have, like, a cape. Like, I wonder if they've got, like, a cape. Like, if they have, like, a cape and, like, their planet of origin in it. That'd be cool. Just like a big swishy cape as part of, like, the uniform. Nice Roman-esque thing. Yeah. Yeah. Can you see the future, too?
Your uniform.
Huh!
25th century, correct? You're definitely a visitor from the past, and an honored one at that. Welcome to the 28th century. I hope you'll enjoy seeing what your work and sacrifice has wrought.
Come on, give me the Gowron bug eyes. You gotta give me that. 25th century, correct? Say, thank you for the honor. And for all the fish. Cooperative observers.
Have a checkered past when it comes to time travel.
Kind of like wearing...
Particularly where the Federation is concerned. Thankfully, we've had the chance to make amends. The Cooperative is proud to be a part of today's proceedings.
That's why. It's quite the honor, he said, full of shit. And it's the space zombies. I am not very friendly towards the Kobali. I don't like them very much at all, and you need... Lady! Are you wearing... You are. Ma'am? Could you, yeah. Anyways... You have failed at femininity. Congratulations. Although it's not, who the hell knows? She might just be like, deal with it. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know, but I can only imagine like an entire away team just sort of like having their hands up, going like, "Oh God, no! Don't look! Don't look! Don't look!" Don't. No. No! No!
The Kabbalah are quite thankful to see the Accords go into effect.
Nosferatu.
Many who disagree with our customs could be tempted to return to a point in time where those customs could be disrupted permanently.
Yeah, who knows? Someone might actually go back in time and prevent your species from fucking itself. We couldn't have that. Honestly, I think the Kabali should have been the bad guys. Honestly, they practically were the bad guys with how they were presented in Delta Rising. Pretty much everybody fucking hated their guts by the end of Delta Rising, and we're wondering why we were allied with these people. That seemed to be the common sentiment: is why are we helping these people? All they have done is screw us over. Like, all they've done is lie. Like, from the beginning, all they've been doing is bullshitting us. So why are we fucking working with these people? Like, the comparison is never made to the Voth, but I think that they really should be. They should have done, like, one of two things with the Kabali, and that should have been A, you should have had them as a foil to the Alachi. Because the Kabali and the Alachi are very, very similar. They both essentially gestate using dead bodies. So, you should have had, like, the Kabali as a foil to them. Should have contrasted the two. It would have been a much more favorable look at the Kabali than what we got, where they were practically the antagonists of the story arc because they were the ones who were causing the Vaadwaur to go nuts. The Vaadwaur were totally justified in attacking Kabali Prime. Absolutely. With what you find out later. Like, they had good reason to be, like, burning the place to the ground. They were justifiably pissed. So you should have either, like, had the Kabali and contrasted them with the Alachi, which would have cast the Kabali in a much more favorable light. Or you should have gone all in with Kabali as antagonists and compared their belief that their culture and their determination to survive at such a high cost to everyone around them, and put them in comparison to the Voth and Doctrine, is what you should have done, because they justify everything with their culture. Everything. Nothing is beyond reach for them, because their culture says that they can do it. It's their culture to revive dead bodies. And why don't you want me reviving your dead body? Why don't you want to wake up and slowly change into something that is not you? That's my culture. My culture tells me I'm doing you a favor. Why do you not want that favor? You should have either compared them to Doctrine. You could have done something really cool there. And don't get me wrong, the storytelling in Delta Rising was really good, but you could have done a bit better with the Kabbalah. You could have made them more heroic, or you could have made them more ambiguous, more gray. If you'll pardon my, no offense, but you could have made them more ethically nebulous than you were. I just think that they're a bit of a missed opportunity. Not as substantial a one as the whole temporal Cold War thing I was talking about, but there was a chance to do something really interesting there that I think you overlooked. No one is here without an enemy that would see them erased from time. I will be right back.